Hey friends, welcome back to the Godspeed Garage. Today we're going to do a little bit of a science experiment. We're going to be testing some rust soak solutions to see which one is the best. Now we're here in my laundry room because it's January and in Central Oregon it's cold outside. And all of these rust soak solutions, they all say that they work best at room temperature or above. So these have been stored for a few days in my laundry room to help keep them at room temperature. And I wanted to make sure that this experiment was done exactly according to the instructions so we can take as much of my error out of it as possible. First up, we have here, this is the WD-40 Rust Remover Soak. Secondly, we have the Evapor Rust. And then third up, we have Metal Rescue from Workshop Hero. And last but not least, we have Crud Cutter. I've got my plastic containers here. And for our rusty metal, I cut off chunks of that bar that I used to compare the rust encapsulator paints. So this one here, it says, before soaking, remove as much dirt and loose debris as possible from the item. I did not do that, and I'm not going to do that for any of these, just because I really want to test these to see how well they work. That's the instruction that I'm not going to follow. Pour the rust solution soak into a container so that the object treated is completely submerged. Leave the item in the solution for at least 30 minutes to remove light rust, overnight for medium rust, and up to 24 hours for heavily rusted items. Remove the item from the solution, rinse with water, dry completely. So that's the WD-40. Let's check out the Evapor Rust. Pre-clean. If it's oily, rinse the item completely, immerse the item for 1 to 12 hours depending on the depth and age of rust. This bar came from my 29 Dodge, so that's pretty old and it's pretty deep pitted rust. Well, pretty much same instructions. Metal Rescue, let's see what this one says. Step 1, prep it, remove surface dirt, grease, blah, blah, blah. Not going to obey that one. Step 2, soak. Surfaces must be fully immersed. Keep liquid covered. Means basically leave the lid on. As product works, it will darken in color. Soak times, light rust up to 2 hours, moderate rust up to 8 hours, heavy rust 24 hours, but no longer than 48 hours. Once derusted, promptly remove from the solution. Rinse dry. Protect. Got it. Same instructions as all the other ones. Let's check out this Crud Cutter stuff. Best results, apply clean metal surfaces, remove oil and grease. Medium to light rust will be dissolved in 30 minutes or less, while heavier deposits may require a second application. I'm just going to soak it. Okay, so I got these all poured in these plastic containers, and right off the bat we can see there's a little bit of a difference here. This WD-40 stuff is clear. The Evapor Rust kind of has a urine color, sort of the same yellow that's on the label there. Metal Rescue is clear, and this Crud Cutter stuff is blue. And this stuff here is the only one that kind of has an odor to it. All the other ones are odorless. Now they all say they are water-based and environmentally friendly. So I'm going to take note of the time here. Today is January 31st at 4:23. So I'm going to drop these chunks of metal in here and set the timer for 30 minutes and come back and check it. And that's been about a half an hour. Let's take a look and see what we got. Okay, here's the WD-40. Looks like it's starting to turn a little brown, the solution is. Kind of looks like it's sort of starting to turn a little black, but it doesn't really, that could be just because it's wet too. Here is the Evapor Rust. Kind of the same thing, there's a little bit of sediment coming off in the solution. Sort of looks like it's turning black a little bit, still rusty. Okay, let's check out the Metal Rescue. Same. This one actually kind of looks like there's a little bit less sediment going on in there. Let's check out this guy. Yeah, all the same. That one looks maybe a little bit less like it's actually doing anything, but it's probably about the same. I'd say it's about the same. Let's check out the Crud Cutter. Oh yeah, you can see sediment in this one. You know, that one actually, you can see more silver on that one. This one looks like it's working pretty quick, actually. Yeah, if you notice in that section right there, see how it's silver? Like it's getting down to bare metal. Looks like that rust is coming off pretty quickly. And right here as well, you can see it looks like it's almost bare metal. So far, I'd say the crud cutter's kind of in the lead, but maybe I'll check it in like an hour. Okay, as you can see, it's 6:37, so we're about a little over 2 hours into this. Let's check the WD-40. Looks like we're getting a bit more stuff on the bottom. Here's what this looks like. Less rust color, more silver, so it looks like stuff's starting to come off of here. It's getting down to more bare metal. Let's check out the Evapor Rust. Oh, same thing on this one. Looks like some rusty color on the bottom. There's some sediment on there. Looks exactly the same as the WD-40 does. It's turning silver and black. Feels like there's kind of some stuff coming off. Getting pretty close to being down to bare metal. So Metal Rescue, it's much sediment. Looks like it's exactly the same as the WD-40 and the Evapor Rust. Silverish, kind of bare metal color. Alright, now let's check the crud cutter. Still some sediment in there. Silver, blackish. And this feels like the rust is just coming right off. I mean, this probably could be done. That's amazing. Look at that. It's pretty much almost down to bare metal at this point. Well, I'm gonna probably let this sit overnight, come back and look at these guys, but so far the crud clutter is really impressing me. So it's 4:25 on February 1st. This is just about 24 hours later. Let's take a look at what we got here. The WD-40, you can see how it's got a lot of residue on the bottom down there. And you can see how a lot of the rust has come off. There's still some rust that's attached to it. I'm gonna give it a little scrub. In fact, I'm gonna give each one of these just a little bit of a scrub to see if that'll knock off some of the loose rust. Take a look at the Evapor Rust. Yep, same thing. A lot of sediment on the bottom. And that looks nearly identical. Still some black pitting on it. Some remnants of rust, but it's all loose. So let's give it a scrub with the brush. It looks pretty similar to the WD-40. Let's look at Metal Rescue. Same thing. I'll give it a little bit of a scrub. Here's the crud cutter. Yeah, look at all the sediment in that one there. This one looks like it's done. Again, I'll give it a little scrub just because I scrubbed the other ones, but this one is pretty much done. There's no sign of rust at all on it. Okay, so here we are. It's been about 48 hours. February 2nd, 4:29 p.m. And this is the WD-40. Let's take a look, see inside of here. Looks pretty good. I can still see some rust there in the corner. It's still kind of black. It feels pretty loose. I'm gonna give it some scrubbing. Let's see if that'll come off. Yep, so it did come off with a little bit of scrubbing. Some of this black stuff here doesn't seem like it's coming off very well. With this one, as you can see, there's still a little bit of black going on. Let's check out the Evapor Rust. Same thing, it's turned pretty black. I don't see any signs of rust necessarily on this one, but there is a bit of black still left over. Let's give it some scrubbing. Yeah, no signs of rust, but there is quite a bit of black in the pits. Let's take a look at the Metal Rescue. Again, black. Still showing signs of rust on that one. A bit more than the other two, but it looks like it's gonna come right off. Even with a little bit of scrubbing, you can still see there's some rust in that area there and on right here. And black pitting, just like the other ones had, but this one looks like there's less bare metal on this one. So it looks like the Metal Rescue's not doing quite as good a job. Okay, let's check out the crud cutter. Well, it's not as black. And the metal, well, black pits, but there is silver, pretty much down to bare metal. It doesn't feel anything needs to be flaked off. So from 24 to 48 hours, this is about the same. Even when I'm scrubbing, there's nothing coming off of there. Next step, according to the instructions for all of these, is to rinse them and thoroughly dry them. So I've got another bucket full of water here. We're going to take all of these and rinse them in water, dry it thoroughly. So then the final test we're going to do, I'm going to leave these sitting out to see if there's any flash rust that develops on these just from sitting out. When I'm looking at these things dry, it looks like the WD-40 took it down to bare metal pretty good, and so did the crud cutter. These other ones, Evapo-Rust, it's like black, not so silver, which doesn't look like bare metal. The Metal Rescue still has rust on it. Look at that. It looks like, though, the WD-40 is already getting some flash rust on it. 7 days after removing this from the soak, the WD-40 looks like it might be developing a little bit of a flash rust to it. Other than that, it looks about the same. Evapo-Rust looks exactly the same. I don't see any signs of flash rust at all on this one. Take a look at the Metal Rescue. That one looks about the same too. There was a lot of rust on it initially when I first took it out and rinsed it and dried it. So I can't tell if it's gotten any worse. Crud cutter, absolutely no signs of flash rust, and this is completely down to bare metal. I'd say all the rust is gone off of this one. I'm thoroughly impressed with crud cutter. Let's take a look at the cost. Crud cutter, I'm sure it comes in a gallon, but I couldn't find any. It's $11 a quart at Walmart, which is 35 cents an ounce. Evapo-Rust at Harbor Freight is $28 for a gallon, which is 22 cents per ounce. And WD-40 and Metal Rescue both come in at $26 per gallon, which is about 21 cents per ounce. Now, as far as the overall effectiveness, crud cutter was clearly the winner in this one. Evapo-Rust was a close second, only because there was no remnants of rust. It was just black. And then WD-40 and Metal Rescue were about the same as far as how much rust was left over in the allotted time. Best bang for your buck, in my opinion, I'm going to give it to Evapo-Rust. And that's only because if you have one of those Harbor Freight coupons that gets you 20% off, it drops it down to about 18 cents per ounce. And it did a pretty good job of getting rid of all the rust. Crud cutter clearly was the winner as far as effectiveness goes, but it is a lot more expensive. WD-40 and Metal Rescue were okay. They weren't great. So I'm going to give it to Evapo-Rust for this one.